Hello and welcome to The Jam here on DZRJ Radio, the voice of the Philippines. You can hear us on 8:10 a.m. on your radio dial, or follow us on our live stream on Facebook at www.facebook.com/DZRJ810am. Now, what we do here on The Jam is collect stories during the week and choose some of the most interesting ones to talk about here on Sunday. Usually these will be international stories, but however, lately the Philippines has been making it to the international news, and people will ask me to talk about it. Well, this week everyone has been talking about what happened on Friday night here in Manila. This has become more than just a story, but a blast of tweets and opinions and postings about what is the real story behind the story. So I kind of put this together this morning. However, through the day, things have changed dramatically. In this story, and in the final truth has finally come out. So let's just recap from the beginning. It was Friday night, just after midnight, and a man pulled up in a taxi at the Resorts World Casino over near the airport in Pasay. He got out of the taxi and casually walked into the casino and got into the elevator with a couple of women bystanders and went up to the casino floor. As he left the elevator, the whole incident, of course, was on CCTV. He now had on a mask. When he got to the metal detector, he just walked right around it. Security tried to stop him, but he just walked right past them. Then he pulled out an M4 assault rifle and fired a shot. This is when someone yelled, "ISIS, ISIS!" Panic ensued as people began running for the doors and the windows. There were over 12,000 guests in the complex at the time, and all were trying to get out. The man walked into the VIP section and poured some bottles of what might have been gasoline on the gaming table and set them on fire. Then he walked over to some slot machines and set them on fire, firing a few shots on the way from his M4. He then shot out and kicked in a door at the chip bank room and took about 113 million pesos in gambling chips. He headed back down to the basement and exchanged fire with security, who shot him possibly in the leg, because in the video you could see him limping. Now, he walked to the 5th floor, pushed his way into a hotel room, and there he set fire to the room, put the end of the M4 rifle in his mouth, and ended his own life. In the end, 37 people died and 54 were injured. But it seems none of this happened directly because of the man. Of course, if he had not come to the hotel, these people would probably still be alive. But it seems the sprinkler systems didn't function. People perished because of the smoke inhalation from the fire, and people got injured from jumping out the windows and stepping on each other. In other words, he didn't shoot the guests. It seemed as if no one was really supposed to die. When the story first broke, there were many immediate speculations. The man was from the Maute in Mindanao, sent to embarrass the president. Or maybe it was the ISIL who immediately claimed responsibility for the attack. ISIL is kind of ISIS, but spelled with an L. They said that this guy was one of their agents. And then there was the idea that it was all set up by the Duterte administration as a reason to invoke martial law in Manila. So was it terrorism, or was it the conspiracy? What is the answer? Why did he do all this? The answer may very well be that he was just a man like many of those who go to the casino and lose a lot of money. Maybe he burned the table and the slot machines, not to instill terror and hurt people, but because he was mad and upset at all his money that he lost, and he just went plain crazy. There's a big difference between a terrorist and a crazy person. A terrorist usually wants to inflict as much damage and carnage as possible. He knows he's going to die, and he wants to shoot as many people around him before blowing himself up. A crazy person, though, is not so defined. People keep asking questions. Why did he take time to burn the tables in the slot machines? Why not just steal the chips and run? Sometimes when people go crazy, there's just no figuring out the reason. As of this morning, they don't know who the man was. He didn't carry any ID and he was burned beyond recognition. So how did he get past the security so easily? Why did he steal the chips that would be hard to cash and then ditch them along the way? Why burn himself beyond recognition, then shoot himself in the head? Also, I watched the CCTV camera footage and all the pictures, and I can't help but notice how calm the guy was and how well trained he seemed to be and how he knew the casino so well. Also, another interesting thing, his body was burned beyond recognition and he was holding the rifle to his chest. How can you shoot yourself in the head, set a fire, and then hold your rifle to your chest? If this was a movie and there was like 15 to 30 minutes left in the movie, for sure he would have staged his own death. Then at some point a reporter or a low-level cop is going to figure out the whole thing and then come and find him by the end of the movie. I mean, I guess it's possible. One thing seems for sure, and that is Manila is not being overrun with terrorists. So far, this seems to be the act of a single gunman that might have just been very upset and wanted his money back. All the conspiracy theories I keep reading are just that. Was he a paid mercenary to cause the government to declare martial law and instigate people to protest and topple the administration? Or was it the government looking for justification to declare martial law? So far, none of that is based on any kind of facts. It's all just a little weird because it comes just days after the declaration of martial law in Mindanao and the threat of martial law over the entire country. But so far, it just seems like a big coincidence and something for the media to make a good story of. Well, so many people hope for a big conspiracy theory, but it looks like that is not going to come. Turns out he was just a regular guy. His name was Jesse Carlos. He was a former government or employee who was fired and was a gambler and had an immense debt in the tune of 4 million pesos. This past April, he was barred by the Philippine Amusement Gaming Commission from all casinos, including Resorts World. He was a high roller sometimes, betting 40,000 pesos at a shot. This caused problems with his wife and forced him to sell his car and real estate. So this was not a terrorist threat or a plot to overthrow the government or a scheme of the administration, but just one man who was mad at the world. Meanwhile, last night, a van was driving across London Bridge at a high rate of speed and just started running into people. Witnesses are saying it just veered off the road and into the crowded sidewalk. The railway stations have been closed down and there are searches going on in the water below the bridge in case someone was thrown into the river. Also, about the same time, a man walked into a restaurant with a giant knife and began stabbing people, and shots were fired at the scene. Now, this was a terrorist attack. There were 3 men in total, all wearing fake bomb vests, and all have been shot dead. 7 people have been killed and 48 taken to the hospital due directly to the assailants. Again, there was a terrorist attack in London today. There was no terrorist attack in Manila. It was just a guy who just snapped. Sometimes it's getting hard to tell who's a terrorist and who's crazy, or who's just a crazy terrorist. But whether it's a crazy man in a casino or a planned terrorist attack in London, the world sure is becoming a dangerous place. You're listening to The Jam here on DZRJ Radio, the voice of the Philippines, 810 AM on your radio dial. This is Eric LeCain here on Sunday night. We're talking about some of the interesting stories of the week.